Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 965. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
We're here to talk about the penultimate episode of Season 1 of Doctor Who on Disney Plus and BBC One. We're recording this live on the internet on June 15th. June 15th, everyone. Today is finally the day. Happy Magna Carta Day, baby. It is actually here. We got it right. It is happening. And so well done. Well done to King John on this day in history in 1215.
Thank you, Chameleon. Thank you.
Or Chameleon, depending on, I don't know which one it was, signing the Magna Carta and thus setting the world in motion for World War I think, if I'm led to believe my history is correct. I don't know if it is or not.
Well, I know. What do the Illuminati say about Magna Carta?
I don't know.
How
It
about
didn't
that?
happen. It didn't happen on March 4th. That's when King John rode to London to sign the something oath. I don't remember what it was. Or maybe it was just going to Starbucks to get an oat milk latte, and it was just sort of confused.
That sounds reasonable
over
and
the
not at all
years.
provocatory.
You always struck me as a Frappuccino kind of guy.
Exactly. Anyway, what is the name of this episode? The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which actually is not really at all relevant to the actual episode
barely.
itself.
It's kind of off to the side a little bit. Yeah.
It's one massive giant setup, 45-minute setup for part 2. So we'll do our best to navigate this and talk about the episode as a whole, and not necessarily just discuss what was revealed in it.
Although we will discuss that for sure.
We will discuss that. So, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen this episode. It's revealed that SUTEKH from
That's my boy.
from Pyramids of Mars, a story back in 1975. For those of you who are new to the show and have not watched all of it, the Pyramids of Mars is one of the
Greatest?
so-called
Yes.
classic Doctor Who stories of all time from season 13. Tom Baker met SUTEKH as voiced by Gabriel Wolfe. Gabriel Wolfe returns to be voice of SUTEKH
Age
now.
91.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Well done, sir.
91.
91.
I looked it up right after, actually, as the credits were rolling. I looked up how old he was, or if he was
Born
still
in
alive.
1932. Yep. So he's still there, and so that's who that is. Anyone, if anyone wants to go watch Pyramids of Mars, it is still available.
You should.
on BritBox and BBC iPlayer.
I will this
Maybe
weekend.
Tubi and Pluto and whatever else as well.
Yeah.
perhaps.
Oh, and I'll bet you that Tales of the TARDIS that's coming out next week will probably be Doctor Who and Ruby going, remember that? Oh, let me tell you about that last time I met SUTEKH, and that's probably
How does that work? Because either he's giving everything away before the episode canonically, or she survives canonically, and we know that because they're in the Tales of the TARDIS.
Well, the Tales of TARDIS happens before the finale. So.
And the Tales of the TARDIS is in the next episode, according to the trailer. anyway.
Spoilers.
Well, no,
yeah.
it's in the trailer.
The,
so,
dream,
I mean,
the Dream TARDIS.
Yeah, the
Dream
memory
TARDIS,
TARDIS.
yeah.
The memory
Memory
TARDIS,
TARDIS,
is in there. Yeah, we'll find out. Warren, you hold Pyramids of Mars near and dear to
Yes,
your
I
heart.
do.
Let's start with you. What are your initial thoughts on this? Even if it is just, oh my God, SUTEKH is back.
Well, I mean, I've heard rumblings and mumble such about SUTEKH being who was coming back, and I dismissed it as usual fan idiocy,
Right.
because I usually do, because I'm like, whatever, shut up, fans. Because people love to jump to conclusions. In this case, the correct one.
Right.
The whole time I'm watching it, I was remembering, RTD is really, really, really good. One of the best at setting stuff up. He's not so good at winding them down. So I was like half and half the whole time going,
Right.
This is a great setup. But the real test is next week. What's going to happen there? We don't know yet. We have no idea until next week. But But this, as setups go, much like Utopia, much like many of the other things like Journeys, Stolen Earth, which I really enjoyed and still do.
Yeah.
It's a great wind up, and this is also a great wind up. Whether the payoff is there in the second one, we'll see. But as taking this as it is, a really fun episode of wind uppery. So there's that.
Wind uppery.
And we still don't know some of the answers to this. I got some other stuff, but I'll let Chris give his initial impression first.
It's a long way to wind uppery. Chris, your initial impressions on the 45-minute reveal of Sutekh being back in Doctor Who.
It is so difficult working with only half the information.
It's kind of
it really is. It really is. Like, so we have to take it as we have to work with what we've got.
We do.
And the 45-minute build up, I thought really was fantastic. Shutigatwa was just
as good as Doctor Who.
Next level.
Yeah,
just
good.
next level.
It's really good as Doctor Who.
Just even his like with the Sutekh reveal, just him standing there like agog, like mouth open, like even that worked.
I mean, they all would have been that. So
yeah.
But yeah, no. On the whole, it was very big thumbs up. Possibly even both of the thumbs.
Wow, both thumbs up. Shocking.
Possibly.
It is. I mean, literally, the first scene of the episode is Doctor Who coming into Unit HQ and going, "Who is this woman?" And they only find out at the very end of the episode. I feel like nothing actually happens.
Also, I gotta say, RTD is great at mood shifts. He's really good at that, shifting stuff from super happy to super scary to super sad.
That's true. He is good at that.
Very adept at that.
I take great exception with your statement, Stephen.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, he's the
TARDIS skids in there because the Doctor wants to find out who this woman is, and he does.
Yeah, so.
There's just
it is a process.
There's just the further reveal.
It's a process about it. I mean, I liked it. I too was sort of like a lot of people were like thinking about Sutekh, and then only when early on in the episode when Mel is there and she says, you know, "Oh, Susan, here's your drink. Oh, please call me Sue." Damn, it's going to be him, isn't it? It's going to be Sutekh. I get this now.
But one thing I found interesting is that where she's talking about all the dreams, and then they just slip in, "I dream of a planet, or like a world with orange skies or something." I'm like, well, that's clearly a hat tip to Gallifrey.
Yeah.
So my theory is that Sutekh has been planting all this stuff in her head, just like Harriet Harbinger, which is a dumb name, but anyway, same thing. Like all these people are getting possessed, and that's where all this stuff is coming from. Is like is from Sutekh and him or her or themselves or whatever they are.
Yeah,
because they make a point of saying Sutekh is a mother and father and other of all, which I thought was kind of cool. But because they're this amorphous evil being. But that's the only explanation I can think of that makes any sense for all this stuff, including Mrs. Flood, Sutekh taking them over somehow.
Yeah, they're unwilling warriors, to quote another Doctor Who episode title.
And of course, we still have more to learn about Mrs. Flood.
Yeah, we don't know what her deal is. She's evil, but who knows why.
That's very true.
But I mean, Sutekh would know about the TARDIS, obviously. Sutekh would know all these things, and that's why she would know about them, right? That's RTD, please prove me wrong. I'd be happy to be proven wrong on this, but that's my guess.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have anything for next week yet.
Nothing.
Like nothing.
And I bet we won't either.
There's like a 4-second clip of nothing at the end of Doctor Who Unleashed.
Yeah.
There was no next time trailer.
Nope. No, I don't think I've seen promo images yet.
No, we're recording this so this is before the official Doctor Who podcast has come out, so we don't know if they've put out a clip on that yet.
We have a cast list, I know.
We have a cast list.
But that's really and a title and a broadcast time.
That literally just says like everyone who is in this episode as well. Like I don't think there's anyone even new in the cast list for next week.
I haven't double checked it since watching this.
Looking at it now, so.
Yeah, the whole Sutekh thing. So yeah, I don't know how many weeks ago we were all, I don't know if tipped off is the right word, but it was
The chatter was there, wasn't it?
I don't feel spoiled by.
No, I try to ignore fan chatter.
By what I had been told, however many weeks ago. Last night before watching the episode proper, just scrolling through Google alerts, that was a minefield. That spoiled me officially to the presence of Sutekh in the episode.
You went there before you watched it?
I'm not a smart man.
That's a good admission, Chris. I'm impressed. That is personal growth right there.
It was definitely not the wisest of moves, but I did it anyway. Yes.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I don't understand.
Because I don't know.
How many years?
I avoided Twitter, Facebook, etc. So like, I don't know why I looked there, but I did.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, I think the rumblings all happened with the announcement of the Tales of the TARDIS episode. Because number one, I don't know how Sutekh got bandied about, but it did. And then, of course, with the original Tales of the TARDIS stuff, we never had any Tom Baker representation. Right.
True.
A lot of people assumed that, okay, well, there's got to be a Tom Baker for the one that they're doing at this point. And Sutekh came up somewhere along the way. Don't remember where, don't remember how, but that's been in the back of all our minds for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Although I laughed when the name came up, I laughed. I was like, they're actually going there. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I wasn't disappointed in it. That's for sure.
RTD has never really been afraid of bringing back old stuff. So whether it's he created the Ood, which are related to the Sensorites, or the Master, or the Daleks, or Cybermen, or whatever.
He was judicious about it, and he was here for this season mostly too. Really,
yeah, I think so. And then they threw this in there. I'm really curious to see what people who have never seen Classic Who think of this, because I think the reveal is more for our benefit, those of us who have watched the show since 1980.
Well, this and the Susan stuff too, because that doesn't mean anything to somebody who hasn't been watching. Really,
no, it doesn't. But I mean, they did sort of seed it in. Like, oh, my granddaughter lives over there. That's sort of like, okay, oh, wow, you had a granddaughter once. Like, that's sort of a thing that you probably don't need to have seen the first season of the old show to get behind.
No, of course. And just to touch on that briefly, like when they're in when they're on the unit bridge, and the name Susan is mentioned, and Ruby turns to the doctor and starts the conversation about what if it's your granddaughter? How many people out there are named Susan? Like, come on. Like, that's a step too far.
The coincidences and that's the thing. The coincidences of the name is kind of silly. And the anagrams is also an RTD thing, which is
RTD
like,
nonsense,
why would an Egyptian god of death worry about...
Because RTD says so. That's why. Because RTD says so.
Yeah, it just feels a little silly.
With it being Sutekh, so I mean, people in the live stream chat have said, like, why not, some other god,
right.
Seraph, I think. But like at the end of the day, like at least for me anyway, even back first watching Pyramids of Mars, I know. Some handful of Egyptian gods. Right. Sutekh was definitely not amongst the ones I knew at the time.
No.
So that having it be Sutekh is, in a way, at least for me anyway, was a bit esoteric. And I don't think that's really any different now, 40 odd years later.
No, I'm sure it isn't. I mean, I think with the Susan stuff, I think they're going to do something next episode. You don't put this much buildup into it and then just do nothing. Like, maybe it's next season.
Have you seen RTD scripts?
Yeah.
I just don't see it being frittered away into nothing. Like, it's,
I don't know. Maybe in the memory TARDIS. Maybe it should be a Tales of the TARDIS only.
But something, because otherwise, why see this through the entire season?
Right.
With the doctor going to unit to find out who Susan Twist, who the woman is.
Sorry, go ahead.
In the trailer with her on stage, my first thought was, oh, it's Emma Thompson from Years and Years, and I'm so glad it wasn't.
So my eye-rolling RTD moment was, I've got this amazing technology. I'm giving the whole world. I'm like, oh, God, it's the Atmos network all over again. Come on, RTD. Enough. Or it's Obama with his hand-waving economic thing before everybody turns into a master. I'm like, please don't go in this direction. Please. And they didn't. She was, in fact, talking to an empty room, which is an apt metaphor for that particular trope.
I'm hopeful that he has learned his lesson from his time away. Especially with, years and years and cucumber and
right.
I think so.
And it's a sin and like some really
he might have been making fun of his own trope for all I know.
Hopefully. But as ever, I just fear the RTD blue balls that we're just not going to get the payoff.
Oh, he did say in the Radio Times this week that 99% of everything that is happening this season will be wrapped up next week. It's not ending on a big cliffhanger necessarily to next season or anything like that. So whatever. So I don't know how much is going to actually be carried through for next season.
Well, in a way that's good because we have far too many shows these days just trying to stretch out everything across God knows how many seasons.
Yeah,
that's just completely unnecessary and just so trying. But by the same token, I mean, you gotta leave a little something for next year.
Oh yeah, there'll be a little something. There'll be a little
cliffhanger for Christmas or whatever. So yeah, I'm glad so that would be that 1%.
Yeah, like it won't be like Sutekh like dangling the Doctor over a void. Probably
no.
At the end of
It'd
next
be some
week,
little
and then
diddly thing,
like Michael Jackson with his son.
Wow.
So here's my headcanon. Here's my stupid fan fulfillment headcanon.
All right.
The 14th Doctor and Susan and it'll be not Carol Ann Ford, but it'll be the one who played her in Adventure Space and Time, will show up at the very end after everything's done because the 14th Doctor took her away to be safe.
Okay.
And brings her back. And that's why the 14th Doctor isn't involved in any of this either. I saw a thing where somebody shows, I can't remember the name of the character on
SpongeBob.
But he's just sitting there suntanning and he looks over and then he goes back to what he's doing. And that's the 14th Doctor looking at all the Sutekh stuff happening. So the only explanation, if they even bother mentioning, which they may not very well do, is that the 14th Doctor takes off with Susan, or in a very RTD thing, they show up at the very end to save the day, which I really hope doesn't happen. This is all me waving my hands, people. It's not anything based on anything. But I can see that happening because RTD.
Why not? After all, that's how it all began.
Yes, with some goofy trope that doesn't make any sense. An Osterhagen key, in fact.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want any Osterhagen keys.
Well, I mean, the Osterhagen key was basically the VHS tape.
That's a fair point.
Nobody ever mentioned before.
Or the 4 injection master killer thing.
Sure, but the VHS tape was used to great effect in this episode in a cool way. So there's that.
That's true. I was hoping for a joke that someone in Unit HQ would be like, does anyone have a working VCR?
Or even what is a VCR?
What is a VCR? Tape? Yeah, I know.
In Unleashed, they explain that. They show VCRs, and I'm like, I see all this old stuff from the 80s. I'm like, this is the good stuff.
From 1980.
I know, and I was like, yeah. And then they start making fun of like, Powell, one more word. One more word, buddy.
Yeah. Strange name in the chat. Susan tried during her weird Theresa May impression was amazing.
That's pretty good.
That is exactly what I thought when she was doing the weird dancing. Like remember with Theresa May? Remember those heady days? And she walked on at some Tory convention or something.
Vaguely,
just like,
yes.
You are walking like an automaton right now. Like would assume a human walks like. She just
a British politician, a Tory specifically, acting like a weirdo. Come on,
it was a weird walk.
Although I have to say, complete side note, I was actually interviewing a Brit this week, and I told them, listen, nobody dunks on your politicians like you guys. You are good at this compared to us. True. You've always got like a bunch of very serious people, and then you got a guy in a diaper and a top hat, and he's from the Screaming Vole Party. They just take it all seriously. I love it. This is what I'm most looking forward to in the election, is crazy crap like that.
Yeah. Don't forget Lord Buckethead.
Exactly, Lord Buckethead, all that stuff. That never happens here, and you can forget about it ever happening in the States.
You notice how much we're more on speculation about what's going to happen than actually discussing the actual.
That's because we only have half the information.
Right? Exactly. That's my point.
There is stuff to discuss, though.
There is stuff to discuss. Yeah,
there is.
Sure.
There is. I mean, I thought for the most part it built it okay. Apart from the silly anagrams, apart from having someone called H. Arbinger.
Yeah, that's pretty RTD, is what that.
I mean, that was just same as the Devil's Cord. So.
I know. I joked in the Slack about, hi, I'm the new IT guy, Stephen Ayton. He goes, wait a second, you put an S and Ayton together, and oh my God, it's Ayton. As I sound like Fred from the B-52s, whose music you heard in this
or
episode.
Gil from The Simpsons. Gil.
God, J. Gil. Oh, yeah, it's my wall. I brought it from home. Where was I going to this? I don't remember anymore. There are some times though. I mean, it was basically the cliffhanger, the 3-part cliffhanger to Aliens of London, but drawn out over
a lot better than
45 minutes. But it's just like there's 3 things. There's like what's going on in the time window, what's going on with Sutekh, what's going on with
that's fine,
Sherry, and yeah, I know.
If it works, it works.
Well, there was one scene that I kind of was annoyed by, and I think it could have been played better. And it's when Mrs. Flood comes in to take care of Cherry as Carla goes off to Unit HQ, and she goes in. She goes, "Oh, I'd like some tea or something," and she basically turns to, "Well, no one will want that." Blah blah blah. Like she instantly becomes evil, and then looks outside. Oh, he's coming soon. Like I wish that scene would have built up a little bit more. Would have breathed a little bit,
maybe,
and have them have a conversation. Because we've only ever seen Mrs. Flood turn to the camera, says, "What's the matter?" You've never seen a TARDIS before, and then we see she's all kind of batty.
Not much more than that. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that the tension and the drama would have played out a lot better had they just been having a normal conversation with like tension building a little bit, and then just
that's a time thing. I guarantee you that's a time thing.
I think you're right, Chris.
We're not up against the clock.
Well, they still have a time slot they have to...
Whatever. They're on Disney+. They're on iPlayer first. You fit it in, But it's still the BBC One that they have to adhere to. I have to think it's a time thing. Because, I mean, she goes from, oh, I never go out, to, no, you're not having tea, the storm is coming, and he waits instantly.
no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no delay. And it's like her, this 180 on a dime as far as like from nice to, not nice.
Well, there is a change in philosophy in how the show is built now than it is in, like, say, the Stephen Moffat era. I don't think that if Moffat had brought an episode like Heaven Sent in to RTD, and specifically Phil Collinson, who I think is probably more the spearheader of this, and say, this is what we're going to do, a 58-minute solo piece with some long takes, and it's going to build up, and there's going to be tension and everything else. And I bet you probably they was says, no, we got to do cuts. We got to
think you're both right, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think you both got a point here.
Yeah, and
And Star Wipe.
There'd be a lot of stuff like that. And so Moffat comes back and does Boom, and specifically the format of that is intended to basically go against the quick cutting, lack of long takes nature that RTD Phil Collinson is.
When I was watching
I think that approach would have helped a little more. There are moments of it, but I think specifically that moment with Mrs. Flood and Cherry, I thought just happened too quickly for us to our suspicions weren't, we weren't lured in. It was just like instantly looks like she's evil. And that was the last time we saw. That's the last time we saw them in the episode. He waits no more, whatever she said.
And we'll see more next week, I'm sure.
I guess
Speaking of Moffat, while I was watching it, I was thinking of how we were all really worried when the Pandorica opens happened, and we got more or less the same sort of RTD buildup. And then the next week, we're very relieved that the Big Bang was absolutely not that. And then I thought to myself, it's also really unfair of me to compare these two eras. Like, RTD is going to do this thing, so it isn't fair of me to compare these, even though that did happen because of the way RTD used to do things.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I mean, Moffat, as we've talked about ad nauseum, Moffat two-parters are generally just not even... They may as well not be two-parters.
Yeah, they're all tied together, essentially.
Versus RTD having to, always do the continuity. And there's nothing wrong with either format.
Yeah, I'm not cursing the next episode or anything.
No,
I'm not foreboding.
The problem with RTD back in the day was he always wanted every season finale. He just needed to do bigger and bigger and bigger than the last.
And he's got Spike Lee syndrome. He can't get an ending out of him.
Yeah, just need
Or he did. We'll see.
Just need Giancarlo Esposito walking around with a boombox on his shoulder.
That's a different character. Giancarlo did not have the boombox. That was Radio Raheem.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bill Nunn.
Radio Raheem. Yes.
Excuse me. I'm going to pedant you and do the right thing.
Please do. No, I haven't seen that in forever. Anyway, yeah. So I'm curious. Like I said before, I hope after his time away and with having some of the smash hits and successes that he has had, that RTD has learned a little something about storytelling.
Sometimes less is more.
I would guess this is the case. I am hoping that is the case. There's stuff we don't know yet. We don't know who the hell Cloakey is in the time window.
That's true. She might be the kind woman.
If it's even a she, we don't even know. Who that is.
I've got more on that later.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows who
Why
that
does
is?
Carla know who the Beast is? Who is the Beast? Who is Carla referring to?
She's religious, I think.
I think she's religious, but also I think what's going to happen here, and this might just be a random little quick aside to tie things up, because remember back in the Apostle Planet Satan pit, the Beast also sort of like this god at the end of the universe, and also voiced by Gabriel Wolf.
And did Ten call him Sutek or mention all the other gods? That never happened? Maybe I'm wish casting in the background.
But and I did check the dialogue, but remember when Toby goes full beast mode in the end of the episode when they're in the shuttle and stuff is I checked the dialogue. It's different from what they're saying on when the audio cue changes, but it's very similar. I am death, I am this. I'm wondering if they're going to tie actually the Beast back there. That was also Sutek trying to get.
If they do, it'll be a throwaway line because it's too much lore to explain.
Yeah, it's not pertinent, but it sort of ties things together. Like when they're saying, the maestro, the god of music, reprobate, the god.
I want to meet the reprobate. Well, it's probably a jerk, but or the incensor, whoever the hell that is.
Trickster, incensor.
The Mara.
The Mara, yep.
If I may, I'll just jump in. So that's
sure.
Part of the notes later. So the gods that were mentioned: the toy maker, god of games; trickster, god of traps; maestro, the god of music; reprobate, the god of spite; the Mara, the god of beasts; the threefold deity of malice and mischief and misery.
Greatest show in the galaxy, I assume.
No, that was the gods of Ragnarok.
Well, they could be the same guys. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Gods of skin and shame and secrets.
That sounds like extra padding, frankly.
Incensor, the god of disaster, and her children called doubt and dread.
That sounds like those Dalek battles we never see anything about in the Time War.
Genesis the Daleks when he's
no, the stuff that they just throw at you, when Davros died, and that we did see, but Davros died, and whatever the Forever Child and the Mumble Such and all that crap, stuff that just sounded cool if you don't know anything about it. Yeah. This is probably more of the same.
And standing on high is the mother and father and other of them all, the god of all gods, and his names are many. His name has been Set and Seth and Setek. And his one true name forevermore is Sutek.
I have two thoughts about this. One is everybody kept referring to the boss, and I'm like, I don't think I would call Sutek the boss. That would not be a thing I would say. And also, if you're looking at these people and the toy maker and all the rest of them are serving Sutek, I'm like, would the Sutek, bad mother effer that he is, put up with the toy maker's shenanigans and specifically Maestro's shenanigans for more than 10 minutes before saying, theater kids, out.
Yeah,
I've had enough of this.
I don't think he's the boss. I feel like he opened the door.
Yeah.
Like that Bill in the Simpsons parody. Doors open, boys, and all the other crazy Bills go through. I think that's pretty much the what Sutek has done.
I'm overthinking this. But also they mentioned an evil genius, and we'll find him, which I assume is the master, but who knows what that is?
Let's hope
if it's anything.
Even though some of the master's theme did sneak its way into this episode.
Is it just there because it's a really good theme for evil stuff, which it is?
Well, that could be it. I mean,
that's one of the unanswered questions at this point. So.
Cast your mind back to the Hobbits, and when
I have to?
Big giant, what's his name? The big super orc there at the end of the first film was coming in, and they didn't have. Not
Smaug the orc.
No, it's not Smaug.
Orc guy. I don't remember his name even.
That's Radio Raheem. Get it right. Come on.
Orky McOrk.
Sure, and he's attacking the dwarves and stuff, and they didn't have a music cue, so
or something. I don't
they
remember
just used the music for the Nazgul from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, because we all go, "Ooh, that's evil," right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And I feel like it's like, oh, we know that's evil music, and so they've used it in the Devil's Court a little bit. And
yeah, only obsessives like us are going to go, wait a minute,
that's the musical. Wait a minute, that's the master's
That's also a way
music.
to save money. Hey, we need some cash, and we're running out of money at the end of our season.
Yeah.
Murray, what do you got? Oh, I got this. We never used it.
I know.
Sure, why not?
Feedback in the chat says there were no orcs in The Hobbit.
Oh, well, I've only seen the movies, so I'm pretty sure that there are orcs in The Hobbit.
There aren't in the book, and there's a cut out there if you find it that gets rid of all the orcs. That it's used to the books, and it, unlike most of it's not like the book. It actually works.
I haven't watched it, but I know of it. What else about this before we get to Chris's notes and talk, or basically talk about them before we even get there?
I got some stuff.
What do you got there, Warren?
I loved Shooty kind of. They get back where the elevator is, and he punches the wall, and he's freaking out. And then Mel goes, "Hey." Basically, get your ass up, a la Clara. Like, it was really nice to see Mel take charge and go, wait a minute, okay, get it out, and let's go on and get on with our jobs here.
I would have.
It's also it's also typically the kind of thing that if the Doctor were to do that, he would do that on his own, not in front of somebody.
Yeah.
I think
it's a change in the character.
It was a cool bit. I don't like the way it was shot and edited. I wish that would have played out as a single shot, and because basically it cuts away whenever he hits something. It's almost are they doing that so they don't see him damaging something? We can't damage the wall. Don't hit that.
Yeah, that could be
I
what
feel
it
it
is.
would have been more impactful had they just been walking and he stops and then bang, it's one, and we could see Mel's reaction to behind as he's doing this. I would have directed it that way. Maybe that's what Jamie Donahue did, and in the editing suite they says no, we got to use cuts.
That's probably the BBC offices, and there's only so much they could do.
I don't know,
right?
but that was one aspect of things where I thought I would have directed that differently.
The other thing is, I love that the time window is all in camera, and that they could do low res. But it's like they say in Unleashed, we have to have really good projectors to do this, but then we can have it as dreamy and low res.
Yeah.
But it's all in camera, like it's kind of the volume, but not really.
And and the time, the computational power, and the effort, whatever, to make it look that low res is insane.
Both within the story and in real life. The other thing I love is he's like, "Do you have a time window?" And they say, "No, we don't have it." Or where is it? And then, but that's not the important part.
You told us the 1970s were forbidden from experimenting with time.
This is what I'm getting to. Yeah. They get down there. Where are those controls from? The 1970s. So what happened is, let's say Pertwee or Tom Baker, one of the two, said, "Don't ever do this." Immediately they go downstairs and they build it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we hadn't even thought about that before, but now you put it in our mind.
We're just going to go do this. And so this thing has been lying around since the 70s, theoretically, because all those are old school controls, right?
Which plays into the Doctor going in there like, oh, this is just so lashed together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just laughing at it.
I just like to think that the Brigadier is like, right, get on it. And he goes and gets Benton and whoever else to go build this thing.
Yep. And then just as a side note, and as we saw in Unleashed, I liked how they let Lenny Rush kind of like design the pyrotechnics for when the console blows up as well.
Yeah,
that was a cute little touch.
He could have been annoying and he wasn't. So
no,
that
I like him. I don't know the name of the show he's in that he won a BAFTA for. Where he plays the kid of that woman. It's a comedy. I've
only seen him on Taskmaster. So
yeah. He could have been Wesley Crusher, and
he
was certainly not Wesley Crusher. There's a great bit in Unleashed where Stefan Powell, going to beat you to it.
Stefan Powell.
Thank you. Interviews him, and he gives him a face when they're talking back and forth, and instantly Lenny Rush, who's, what's his real age, 18, 17, something like that?
15, 16?
15?
Yeah,
he looks like he's 50 and he just walked out of a dance hall with a cigarette and a whiskey in his hand. He's just got this look that he's like this entertainer from 50 years ago.
Right.
Like, I was like, how did he just do that? This kid's really good at this stuff.
He's good at it. Yeah, he's pretty good at it. Yeah, I've seen clips of that show, which I do not remember the name of. But if you Google it's like one of the few things he's been in. And I thought he is really good in that. So that's somebody asked in the chat. RTD did mention
am I being something?
Yeah, that's the one. Am I bothered? That's not am I bothered.
Am I being unreasonable?
That's the name of the show. Ruth Madeley was unavailable, I think, because RTD did say that she's going to be back in season 2 or later on. So
and then his explanation was the character was in Geneva. It wasn't set on screen. It was in an article I read last night.
I love it.
But yeah, the character was apparently in Geneva
at a peace conference. Hopefully,
I love it.
Possibly.
Yeah. Hence Major Beresford taking over or something. You mentioned the time window scenes is playing out in front of me, so now it's fresh of mind.
It goes on a little long, but it's still pretty good.
It does a little bit, but I don't mind that. I watched it the second time after seeing a bunch of our friends sort of say that it was going on a little long time, and I watched it with that eye. And I don't know. I think it goes about as long as it can. I don't know who the woman is. I'm pleased that I don't know who it is yet.
I love how when it shuts down, they do that great pull out to it shutting down, and then they go to the glass breaking. I think that was very well done.
It was well done.
Also, like when they say, "Let's do it" or whatever, and the camera starts between them and goes straight up.
Yeah,
that looked really cool.
It was also a little over the top R2D-ish. So there's that.
That too. Yeah, it is. He was pretty enthusiastic about that. It was made for a good shot, and it's good for a shot in a trailer.
It's forgivable, but it's also typical. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I don't know who the woman is. Maybe it's not even her mom. That's me speculating right there. What maybe.
I mean, that's just it. You don't know. It could be anybody.
Mea culpa here. I not even criticize, but notice this stuff. Some people are huge R2D fans and love this kind of stuff, and good for them. I'm not complaining about that.
Right.
Just for me, I notice, but that's just me.
Okay. What? Oh, what? Just in general?
Just this over-the-top flourishy type stuff that R2D either excels at or relies on, whichever way you look at it. But just because I might get a little about that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means just means that's my take on it.
Yeah. Why does she go? I can't remember. She goes down to the time window at the end of the episode too, and I've forgotten why she does that. Why is she immediately going there? I don't remember.
Maybe that's the only place she'd be safe.
Maybe?
Which is why he'd want her to go down there to keep her safe, right? That'd be the main reason the Doctor would do something for his companions to get them out of the way of something bad.
I'm sure somebody in the chat will supply that detail because I also have.
Yeah,
that's my best guess.
My mind.
Yeah. I do kind of like how much. I'm just thinking of how UNIT treats their employees and soldiers compared to how they did in the olden days when they would.
I will not lose another officer.
Like, oh man,
the look she gives him is great.
Your dad wouldn't say that. Let me tell you, just like
cannon fodder. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Oh, they were just like slaughtered. But they would be back next week because they were played by the same stuntmen, of course. But yeah. Anyway, Chris, you were going to say something before I interrupted you with my.
Oh, just her attitude of I will not lose another officer kind of thing.
Yeah,
that was good. The way she just looked at the Doctor like, "What the hell, bro?"
Yeah, like, it was a weird scene. Like, I think maybe if I just look at it at a different angle, and like he wasn't. I don't know. It was weird how they played that out. And I'm going to go turn this way and point my gun at it, but you're not actually looking at a different angle. You're turning to look at a different thing.
I watched it twice, and it was cool that, unlike everything else there, which is theoretically a projection, he goes behind the TARDIS, which is your first hint that something's off. Which I didn't really notice until the second
The Doctor
time.
says the TARDIS is almost solid, so
but
it was kind of cool that it adds to the mood of the thing.
Yeah, and if that's going to happen, that's the place it'll happen. So the answer apparently is the Doctor tells her to go there, and she does, but they don't say why.
Ah, okay.
The Doctor and Kate sent her there.
And maybe it was just to say you'll be safe there. I don't know. Maybe it's a panic room or something like that. I don't
know. The obvious answer is we're building up to the climax. So go there.
Mm-hmm. Also, she's there next week. She can come back up and save the day. Yeah. Unlike everybody else in that room who's going to get frozen or whatever.
Something like that. But the flip side to that is it's about freaking time in the episode they separated the characters.
True.
Yeah, that's true. Because they're all just sort of staring around looking at the same things. Yep. You know, maybe Rose will have something to
Doctor
do
Who works so much. Doctor
Who
works so much better when the Doctor and the companion are operating independently. Like if we look at last week with Rogue, like when the Doctor when each of them finds out the information about the bird people, and then they meet back up in the ballroom before the Doctor dances with Rogue, and then they actually have notes to compare. Like there's that's. I don't know. I find that better storytelling.
I agree. And you could tell they're sort of setting up Ruby to be in there for a while because a random soldier named Sullivan, any relation perhaps? Well, probably.
I doubt it.
Shows up and she's in there with her for some reason at the end of the episode. You know, I feel like, okay, so they're setting up probably the first half of next week will be just Ruby Sunday stuck alone in that time window. So she needs somebody to talk to. Here's a random unit squaddie who will probably die.
But also, she better be called Mary Sullivan or Sherry Sullivan.
No, she already has a name, and I don't remember what it was.
If you're gonna solve the cloak mystery, that's where you do it. She's in a time window. She'll replay the thing or something. That's where you reveal all that stuff while the Doctor's dealing with Sutekh and all the shenanigans they're in, right? So
yeah.
The question has been posed in the chat. So has the TARDIS groaning been Sutekh all along? Yes.
I saw a thing on Twitter, which I unfortunately went on, but somebody took the thing where Sutekh's face shows up in Pyramids of Mars in the TARDIS, and that same groan is used. So,
is it really?
Well, I've been trying to find the actual footage, but it would take too long. So I'm going to go by what somebody said. I'm assuming somebody on Twitter didn't just take that groan and transpose it on the old footage.
That's your homework. Pull out your DVD and.
But apparently that's what it is. When he shows up, there's that weird groaning sound, and then they use that again here. So
I don't know. I'll talk to Dick Mills about that. I'm not too sure that's the same sound effect, but maybe it's slowed down. Maybe it's slowed down or something.
It works anyway. So yeah.
That's true.
Was Sutekh in the jukebox? No.
It's a rock and roll. What gotcha?
Jukebox, possibly.
No.
Probably not.
Just no.
Anyway, anything else? No, we're not done talking about the episode.
No, Chris, we haven't got Chris's list yet.
Chris's list hasn't come up yet. I just want to share a file photo of Sutekh menacing one of his poor unfortunate victims. That was one.
I've never been a... That's Brian Little, costumer extraordinaire.
Yeah, we're on the live stream. It's Brian Little with two mummies at Gallifrey. What I only know about this because a couple tweets literally years ago, this is from 2017, Jason Snell liked this tweet. So and another person liked another tweet where I mentioned Sutekh. So clearly everyone was going through Twitter last night and looking for mentions of Sutekh because tweets of mine that were 6 and 7 years old were getting favorites.
By the way, those shoulder things on Sutekh, those are balloons.
Balloons?
Yeah,
wow.
It's a great costume.
Wow. It was pretty cool. All right, Chris, you got your notes there for discussion purposes that we can pick apart and shoot down.
I loved the fake out of the TARDIS anagram. It was a great diversion to hide the actual one.
I suppose so. It was. I do like that. Even Ibrahim says, "Yeah, even I got that one."
That was nice. Because it is a complete roll eye fake out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, over and above the doctor. Oh, it smells TARDIS. No, just the fact that that's there. That's what your brain is going to dwell on, and you're going to think about that and not think that there's a second reveal to it.
Right.
Thus the I don't say the impact of the second reveal. Screw it. The impact of the second reveal.
Right.
The CCTV camera near the Ruby Road Church is 66 meters away, which is roughly 73 yards.
Right.
72.18.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the woman's face cannot be seen, just like in 73 yards.
Oh.
That's a hat tip to Kat. She gave me that one to talk about.
A couple. I did, no offense to Kat, I did see 2 or 3 other people mention that online as well, the 73 yards thing.
When Mel said, the information is still there, I'm like, that's not how videotapes work. Come on.
Well, you know what, Warren? I mean, that's not how videotapes work. That is how 16 millimeter Telecity copies of color episodes work.
Sure.
I wish that it was said we found the 16 millimeter film. As you can see, there's still chroma dots on the end.
So that's the lore we need to really go deep on during a maybe for time they didn't do that, Steve.
Can we mention Can we make chroma dots canon?
I mean, I'd be happier than almost anybody besides you if they did do that.
Right.
But that is an audience of 2, maybe Chris, but mostly you and me.
Bear in mind, it's not the VHS tape; it's the memories.
I know. But I did go. Okay, that of all things is what made me roll my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of VHS tapes, by the way, I just this episode I have a 1 partially working VCR that was pretty high end in the day, but it's not working quite well. I actually looked on Kijiji to see if there are any VHS, because I got a few VHS tapes still, and this episode has made me consider, like, maybe I should get a couple VCRs just to make sure that, like, just to cover my bases,
If you get a VCR that's working, I'll happily give you my stash of official BBC Doctor Who.
Just don't be one of these VHS guys who's like, the image is actually better if you think about it.
No, I would use it purely to rip stuff from VHS to computer. I'm not watching. I'm not hooking it up. Or will I?
Oh, you won't.
I won't.
You will.
Hey, just what you need, Stephen. Another thing to obsess over.
They were cheap too. They're like $50 or $20 or something. So I'm thinking I might get two of them just to make sure I got
like $3 on 100.
I spent about $2,000 in $1990 to get two of them and edit between them. One had a flying erase head and adjustable audio. The JVC 8000U.
I had a JVC. My one's a JVC. I think
you would hit it and the controls would come down on this little tilty thing.
Mine didn't do that.
It was the pinnacle, baby.
Man.
Anyway, enough of my wandering into the memory TARDIS of VHS nonsense.
That's our memory. It's just different VHS.
That's exactly what it is.
Betacam SP, so there's a U-matic in there. A 1-inch tape. I have memories of that. That's Warren and I are memory TARDIS. Yeah. Anyway, Chris, continue.
Yeah, it's your happy place.
It is my happy place.
Susan Triad complains to her aide about not having an audience for the rehearsal of her speech. But when the actual speech is delivered, there's still no audience.
Yeah.
Well, tech stuff is fake. So there's that. That's AI in action.
That's true. That is a bit of a silly thing.
I mean, there's nothing to say that they were ever going to have a real audience for the
but they probably
actual broadcast.
Yeah.
But I inferred that they were going to, and then it just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's a live event and people are watching her say a bunch of crazy SUTEKH stuff, are they still watching now? Like while she's Skeleton Jones or whatever it is?
And that was for some reason being shown to the United Nations.
Yeah, that's another RTD thing. It's like, I gotta talk to the United Nations about this.
I think that was just Susan Triad being a little embellishing.
Possibly.
I think it's RTD being a little embellishing is what it is.
Although maybe not, because as Kate Stewart mentions that the broadcast is at 1500, so 3 p.m., which is 10 o'clock in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
As most people are aware, the U.S. doesn't have only the one time zone.
That's true.
So New York, however, is the 5 hours behind, which is where the UN is.
I suppose.
So maybe.
We'll see.
Just like, why would the United Nations wait? I'm hoping that it's not the actual UN, but like we are addressing the UN. No, because she specifically mentions the US.
I don't think it's not going to be dealt with in the next episode at all. It'll just be completely forgotten.
That's a dumb thing.
Yeah, sure, but they won't even. It'll just be passed over.
It's like Obama's going to say a speech and he's going to solve the economy.
Like I said, it's dumb RTD now. It's the Atmos network. Simple, everyone has it. Please don't do this anymore, RTD. But if SUTEKH is wreaking havoc, that'll be the least of our problems. So.
That was a dumb thing. That was a dumb thing that we didn't need. We didn't need that. A
comment from the live chat. It should have been midnight in the UK, 7 p.m. in the US. Just saying.
It's not a bad idea.
Like the Disney Plus / BBC
iPlayer. And then Brits could say, "Why do we have to wait for the apocalypse? This doesn't seem fair. This is a ripoff to people in Britain."
Yeah. From a storytelling standpoint, it would never have been that way.
Actually, wait a minute. I'm just trying to think. So 3 p.m. in the UK, and she says 10 in the US?
Yep. Which is correct for New York.
There's an outside chance we're fixating on this throwaway nonsense.
No, 3 p.m. It's only 5 hours difference.
Correct.
15 is 3 o'clock.
Yes, which is 10 a.m. in New York.
Oh, 10 a.m. Right. Okay. I thought for some reason I'm thinking 10 p.m. Okay. Now I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. I was going the other way around. I was wrong. I was right. Okay. Okay. It's dumb. Why would they have the woman there talking about her new app? And we have to address the United Nations. No, that's a dumb thing. That's a dumb thing.
They say new software. I don't think they say app.
New software. Okay, the point stands. Like that's just
it's
like
still Atmos. It's
that's
still
like U2
Obama's
showing up saying we are unveiling our new album to you, the United Nations, for free
in your iPhone, whether you ask for it or not.
So open up your iPhones, Bhutan and Bosnia-Herzegovina there at the United Nations, and
they just throw an old analog phone at them. Shut up, you two.
Yeah, and like, what is that technology going to be? Is that now going to be all over the earth now? There's like SUTEKH is going to be like infecting people's phones. And,
that's just it, though. No. I mean, in a way, the UN would be the proper audience because they could disseminate.
Why would SUTEKH bother? SUTEKH is the god of death. He would just be evil and
what does
destroy
SUTEKH
everything.
Need with an iPhone app?
Look,
basically,
we know that they're escaping presumably from that building.
Yeah,
on a scooter, Mel and the Doctor. Next episode, because we've seen that in the trailer. So presumably that whole thing gets destroyed. So not that the software would be destroyed, but still, this is going to be just flip-flap nonsense that is not mentioned.
It is.
I think
it is.
It's not going to have. I don't think the Archangel Network or any of that stuff is going to be in this.
I hope
well, as Kat points out in the chat, and it was covered in Unleashed. In the giggle, Mel mentions that the unit is using Triad.
That's true. It's on the side of a bus. Software. There's an ad on a bus.
Well, then it probably will be.
Yeah,
even so.
In Ruby Road. Yeah.
But all that could be is just everything shuts down in unit and they can't use their equipment anymore. Right?
Probably.
Ruby's isolated in the time window, which works differently.
And I suppose
it's on analog hardware, blah, blah, blah.
As far as the UN being any potential audience goes, like unit is now unified, not United Nations Intelligence Task Force. So I'm assuming there's been a division there.
Again, I think we just spent 10 minutes on something that is not going to be mentioned at all.
Oh, it's going to be the first 10 minutes of next week's episode, Warren. You just wait.
No, it's not.
We
are being Doctor Who fans. We are fixating on nothing.
Yeah, well, that's what we do.
Next thing, Stephen, you already touched on it. The first hint of SUTEKH is Susan asking Mel to call her Sue, because everybody does.
Yeah.
But I don't think she knew she was a plaything of SUTEKH.
I get the impression that H. Arbinger
didn't know either,
And I feel like they've just been they are the playthings of SUTEKH,
exactly,
essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm of the opinion Harriet knew the whole time.
I don't think so. Or maybe it was within.
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out next week. What do we think of the CG dog as SUTEKH?
I've got that later. That's the thing I was talking about before we started. Do you want to go there?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So if you want to, there we go.
There's my boy.
Those are we're showing an action dolly of SUTEKH with the dog head, not the other mask.
So my note.
Yeah.
My note was the realization of SUTEKH as a jackal looks great, which we briefly see done.
That's the Disney money, baby.
Less well in 4G.
4G serial 4G.
Pure reservoirs.
There we go.
I thought it looked really good. I'm not sure why it had 4 eyes and like
because it looks cool.
Forehead light, but
because it looks cool. That's basically it.
Kat was saying she thought originally it was a bat, but no, that's just like a cape or a cloak.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked good. It looks a little more rat-like than jackal / dog-like. But
that's not what SUTEKH. They're gonna find a way for him not to be looking like that the whole time because they can't afford. Even with Disney money, they can't afford that. So they'll find some other way to speak through these practical skeleton people or whatever, right? So
the skeleton. They're the avatars, probably. Yeah.
You've got the power of Neil Gordon and Millennium Effects. So use it.
Yeah, exactly. But just something that you looked at that and you're like, okay, that's expensive, and there's no way you're going to see that for 50 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
Although it's a finale,
you'll see it. I'm sure it will be in there at some point.
It's a finale.
It won't be all the time.
They'll definitely shovel money into it.
But I thought the design was great. You got him like much as I love my boy SUTEKH there, especially in the mask, which I would love to see if they had the mask somehow. But, some updated. But you got to update this stuff. It's got to be an updated version. Right?
I'm not sure.
2024.
I'm not sure they'd lean into the Egypt theme as much, even though SUTEKH.
No,
I mean clearly the god itself is sort of
Because much as I love Pyramids of Mars, it is a little Orientalist. Let's be honest here.
But, I mean, in Pyramids of Mars, you have him. You have mention of other Egyptian gods, like the fact he's trapped by Osiris.
Yes. I think so. No,
Horus refuted it. So Horus.
Yeah.
Will the other Egyptian gods show up?
He is the last of the Osiris.
Yeah, the eye of Horus, right?
Yeah. Much as the Doctor is the last of the Time Lord. Again,
that's true.
But we haven't had any other Egyptian gods yet mentioned. That could still happen though.
That's true. Yeah.
what's next here?
What about the fact that Sutekh seduced the TARDIS, which is probably why you need a dream TARDIS, or sorry, not dream. I keep saying dream TARDIS.
Memory TARDIS.
Memory TARDIS, because that's the way you get around this. Like you reset the TARDIS and you got a memory TARDIS.
Also,
it's either that or they start riding Saran Jones.
Yeah, this hey now, this
no need for that.
This is brought up elsewhere, but I want to mention now before I forget. How in Pyramids of Mars, of course, is the scene where Sarah goes, "Wait a second, it's 1911. We're fine," because 1980 is fine.
Yeah.
They take her to 1980. Hey, there was a scene just like that in this season as well. I wonder.
Honestly,
if
in Pyramids of Mars, a little more
That's
effective.
true.
Probably
Even
a little
though
more
it's total
effective,
cheap.
but
Totally
I mean,
cheap.
the fact that it happened in both seasons where Sutekh is the main baddie is interesting.
And one other throwback to the Devil's Cord, like that you just mentioned. Susan Triad's mother was a dinner lady.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
That's right.
And her father was a postman. So we haven't seen anything about postman. But
was she just sort of like remembering different aspects of her that were going all throughout time, perhaps?
I mean, there's a possibility that her memories are false,
right?
Like Warren was saying, and I hadn't thought of that theory, but I'm totally going to roll with it. That Sutekh is responsible for putting all these thoughts into her dreams,
and other people too.
So there's nothing to say that her mother being a dinner lady isn't a false memory.
We'll see next week, possibly.
Or I get brushed under the carpet.
The bottom line was that Ian Levine loved it. Best in 20 years. Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, well, he has been treated worse than any classic Who fans have been treated worse than any other group of people, according to him.
Yes. Chris, what's next? What's next?
Indeed. Kate's chrysalis theory about Susan came to pass.
That's true. Yep. Kate's on the ball. Yep.
Susan mentions orange skies, i.e. Gallifrey. See also the Sensorites, or Gridlock for that matter.
Yeah. Please.
What a great speech, though. That speech is told by Susan. So
that's true. Oh, in Sensorites. Yeah.
The realization of Sutekh as a jackal. No, did that one. Given we see Mrs. Flood treat Cherry the way she does, we don't see her in the death mask makeup like we do Susan and Harriet. Does that mean anything?
Well, she just hasn't transformed yet.
Is she going to be an acolyte?
Yeah.
I've seen theories that maybe Mrs. Flood is there to actually protect. Cherry.
Yeah, to just have bad bedside
or
manner.
Others. Yeah. She could just be like a
I just want to see one thing: Cherry gets a cup of tea at the end of the season.
Yeah,
come on,
I hope
come
so.
on! I'm not asking for much here.
The payoff that'll never come.
I hope. This is one thing that I noticed, but I thought the sweater with the shirt underneath outfit that what's her name, Anita Dobson, Mrs. Flood was wearing was very similar to the last outfit worn in Face the Raven by Clara. Maybe that's Clara.
I think you might be reaching a bit here.
I am a little bit.
It's the Clara Rani.
It's the Clara Rani.
I saw somebody say something about, it could be the Rani, and I'm like, why in an episode where we've got two sets of giant lore that people who haven't watched the old series, and maybe even some people who have watched the old series don't remember, would you throw in another bit of obscure lore? You won't. RTD is not going to do that. He's already tipped the scales with these two.
Yeah. Especially if what you were saying earlier about the tinkling of the Master's theme being in there.
Yeah, I mean, fans love to connect everything to everything because we're stupid and we overcomplicate everything. If we ever made a cake, it would be a stew. It would actually involve vegetables you've never heard of. Like it just none of this makes any sense. We just love to do it because we're nerds.
Yeah, I would hope that RTD has said it on a few places in Doctor Who magazine, also in the commentary for Boom or somewhere, I can't remember where Sacha Dhawan was great as a master, but I think he would have said I would have let the master rest because it came so soon after Michelle Gomez, and I think the master being there, the fact that they're using a couple music cues is weird and interesting, but given how public he has been saying no, the master is resting, surprise, I'm not resting it at all.
This is the one time I don't not believe RTD.
Yeah, right.
That's just it. I mean, the man lies for a living because he has to.
But this time it makes sense for him not to bring the master. It'd be way too much.
Yeah, it would be way too much.
And he is, if anybody's going to do way too much, it's him. But I don't think he will in this case.
Hopefully not. What
do we got here? The death mask makeup is, at least to me, reminiscent of the makeup from Under the Lake Before the Flood.
A little bit.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Sort of cadaverous, big eye, kind of.
It's good makeup. It's great makeup.
It is
actually,
great makeup, yeah.
From Pyramids of Mars, I am the servant of Sutekh. He needs no other.
Right.
But now he's got multiple servants, so...
Well, he's obviously expanded.
Is it that much harder to control the world? I don't know.
Sutekh Corporation, which is...
Yeah. I mean, they back in Pyramids of Mars, they only had one guy, and he only played a pipe organ, and that was basically his main function. And
he was very irritating, yes.
And it was irritating.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was his name not Ibrahim as well?
Oh, maybe,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Except he wasn't played by a Middle Eastern.
As was the style at the time.
As was the style at the time.
Yeah.
But, or was Ibrahim the one who wanted to be the servant?
I can't remember. So, yeah.
I know.
It was one or the other. I haven't looked at the cast list. It made me like
think about how many times I've seen Pyramids of Mars, and now I think, oh no, I have to kind of watch that again to like dig out specific plot references.
Yeah,
now because,
you know, I do want to see the hands with smoke coming out of them, and somewhere in this, because that's a great effect in the old one.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
And the hand on the cushion. Gotta have the hand on the cushion.
That would be so good if they worked Clara in somewhere, if they made that canon. Even though, again, there's no such thing as a
It's going to be a Lord Scarman reference. Everything has to be referenced. There has to be...
After my diatribe 5 minutes ago, I need my references. Glurm, glurm, glurm.
And the hand on the cushion has to be holding the Toymaker's tooth.
So was that Susan Twist grabbing the ring... or whatever it was, the tooth rather, at the end of the giggle.
Well, why would she be on top of that helicopter platform and nobody notices?
She's a god, I guess, but she didn't know.
Well, we don't know that. She could have been just a tool of Sutekh.
Yeah. Because that's just it. She is a servant of Sutekh.
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't know it.
Or it's, I can't remember her name even anymore, Mrs. Master from back in the day, taking that tooth and potions back to revive the Master. See, I'm just overcomplicating it further.
Don't do that. I don't want to know about any of that.
So are we going to have a time tunnel?
Time tunnel?
Like a kaleidoscopic time tunnel?
Oh,
like we had
with the
what I would love to
sarcophagus.
see is I would love to see from Sutekh's POV him flying back into the time tunnel, and then you see composited in Sarah Jane and Tom T-Bakes
coming back out,
kind of receding off into the background with all updated time tunnel effects around him. That'd be so cool. It's not going to happen. It's me completely dreaming it up. But
are we going to see a brief clip? I wonder, like we did brief shots of old Michael Guff in the giggle as a toy maker.
Would not surprise me if we get that sort of. They take it, they monochrome it, they blur it up a little bit, but then you see,
yeah. Speaking of monochrome, once Sutekh enters the world in Unit HQ, everything sort of goes a little bit grading. It goes kind of black and whitish.
Maybe in the time window you see a little bit of Pyramids of Mars. Because that'd be the place to project it in black and white.
Pyramids of Mars and a big rear projection screen.
Oh, yeah. I would just go in the time window and watch Pyramids of Mars. Who cares? Whatever, the world's ending, but I'm watching Pyramids of Mars, so it's all good.
Seven episodes of new Disney Who is like all for new fans, and then it just is a hard turn. It goes, guess what? You're just watching Pyramids of Mars on a projection screen.
And you're sucking all the energy out of Europe to watch Pyramids of Mars in black and white in 240p. Yes, I am.
Yeah, they'll do that. Burning up a star just to say goodbye at the end of
to Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
On a slightly related note, I'm curious what this is going to look like, or what the finale rather is going to look like in the cinemas for those in the UK lucky enough to have that access.
That is right. Yeah.
Get that Disney money on the big screen.
Exactly. Although not seen by people who have Disney Plus.
And then, all right, I've only got a couple points left, so I'll just bang through them. So in the spiel about mother and father and other of them all, is other any sort of reference to the Gallifreyan other by any chance? I'm sure it's not, but
Vampire War confirmed.
Put that out there.
Already is.
Oh, the three who rule. There we go. That's probably them too.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
Rassilon and Omega and the other, the founders of Time Lord Society.
Bringing Omega back. Let's really overcomplicate
Let's just
this.
Jam them all in there.
Let's just throw Doctor Who celebration down everybody's mouths. Here you go. Eat your greens.
There's gonna be like a Corporal Peter Haining will have like a cameo.
Give me what I want. I'm old.
Hello, new fans of Doctor Who.
Yeah, we apologize in advance for all this absolute drivel we're talking.
Sorry.
As I've said before, music doesn't tend to hit me, but as Harriet is delivering the list of gods, that music from Marie Gold just was
pretty good.
Good stuff.
That whole sequence is great. It's you're just like, okay, what's going on? Against my better judgment, I'm grabbing it to my chair.
Oh yeah, that is edge of the seat. Grab the armrest, whatever.
I've been burned before. Burn me again, RTD. Burn me again.
Burn with me.
Yeah,
I like those Chibnall. Having Gabriel Wolf reprise his role was just chef's kiss.
Very cool.
Icing on the cake.
So glad he's still with us because he was 91.
Yes.
And I wonder, like, if he wasn't available or able to do the voice again, would they have
AI?
There was some modulating of the voice, which I expected, and of course it fits thematically too.
And it's also like tying in with the Susan Twist actors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The when Sutekh was initially speaking, because of the reverb or whatever the hell they put on there, I didn't realize it was Gabriel Wolf.
Yeah, I didn't either. I wondered, when
I saw the credit list, I'm like, oh, of course.
Yeah. I speculated.
It didn't hit me straight away.
Yeah. Nick Briggs is the voice of the Blinks, so he gets work.
Was before. Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Hot metal.
Yeah. Hot metal.
Yeah.
Dubbed on afterwards. He wasn't on set for it. They had the actor inside do the dialogue, but
the dude which did so many other roles which I didn't know. And then last thing I had was RTD had given the audience homework for the finale to watch. I was going to bring this up just so we can see if we've actually had any boxes ticked from these and what boxes we may see ticked. But
okay,
Spearhead from Space.
Right. He gave 5 stories, didn't he?
Five stories to watch before the finale. So Spearhead from Space is the first one. So obviously we've got Unit in there.
Right.
What other boxes can we tick from Spearhead? Obviously, again, not having the second half of the finale.
Well, not the accent or anything obvious. Maybe it's something to do with Gallifrey. Maybe he's working 7B into this. Who knows?
That's true. I don't know.
Again, needless overcomplication.
That's Unit, because he says, Unit are in this new finale, and in terms of their stories, it's always good to watch Spirit from Space. That's John Pertwee's first episode, something like that. So,
well, what are the other ones? Maybe there's a commonality between them all.
Next one is Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways.
Well, you got to see that because big reveal at the end of the,
the threading through as well, which he mentions in Unleashed.
the big cliffhangers and stuff. The next one's curious to me.
Next one is The Bells of St. John.
Missy returning.
So, I mean, what do we have from there? We have Wi-Fi passwords. We
exploding buildings, maybe?
What he says here, Chris, you just have the list on you? Or
I just have the list,
Okay,
yes.
so what he says here is that 2013, in this new finale, we have a mysterious character called Susan Triad, a tech billionaire. Similarly, in The Bells of St. John, Stephen Moffat had Celia Imrie being evil at the top of the Shard. I love that story. So we've got a bit of that feel to it. Modern London, danger, skyscrapers. That's a good little thumbnail.
Yeah, that's just the next episode with them driving away from the disaster.
And the S Triad building is a massive skyscraper.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I think we're overthinking this.
Okay. Next one was A Good Man Goes to War.
It is. He says this is the one where when the truth comes out about Amy Pond's incredible family connection, the identity of Amy's daughter is absolutely pivotal to that story, and it's the same now. The identity of Ruby's birth mother is powerful and changes the whole plot.
Okay, so we haven't had that one yet.
We'll find that out then, I guess.
Yeah.
And the last one was Church on Ruby Road, which I think is fairly self-evident.
It says the obvious one to point out is last year's Christmas special. You should watch that with a protractor and a ruler and work out who's standing where and who's pointing in which direction.
73 yards.
Yeah, who exactly was...
I'm not going to do any of that. I just want the show to tell me this.
Right, who exactly was where and when will all be very important. So important, it's ridiculous. We had to stand there with a map, genuinely. Actually, it would be almost better to watch the Church on Ruby Road after the finale to go, oh, right, that was
I'd rather do that just to see them being clever than to try to out-clever them.
Yeah.
But one thing I do I'm curious about is that she makes a point of saying, you told us in the 1970s never to build time-related stuff. Well, why specifically tell us the 70s? What has that got to do, if it has anything to do with anything? But why say that, right?
Or is that just a Unit dating reference gag again?
It could be either. Yeah. Is it important or isn't it? Like, RTD, to be fair, usually when he puts the stuff in, there is a reason for it.
At the end of the day, Warren, was it the 70s or was it the 80s? Who knows?
I'm from 1980 myself, so...
1970s. Well, we're all from the 70s, let's face it.
Yes, I know that. I'm just quoting Sarah Jane Smith.
I know you are. I know you are indeed, but
And I wonder if there'll be any sort of like hat tip to Sarah Jane in this. Because he does like to hat tip Sarah Jane, as one
That's
should.
true. The break gets mentioned every damn time.
That was a lovely bit. I got a little choked up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
nice.
he turned into a Cyberman.
Don't remind me of that. And that's a Moffat crime.
And you have a cyber break, too.
Yeah, he's right over there.
Is that it? The episode has long ago stopped on my little on my screen beside me there. I think we've hashed this one out for like over an hour now.
Well, we could rapidly speculate more, but that's a dumb idea.
We're all just this is all it's been. Just
and we're gonna do it all week anyway. Before this thing shows up at 4 p.m. on a Friday for me.
That's true. Yeah, next week will be quite something. For those that I ran it down last week. The Oilers are in the Stanley Cup final. Game 6 of the Cup final would be Friday, the exact same time that the finale is dropping.
Game 5?
Well, here's the thing. The Oilers have gone ahead and made my life both miserable and more convenient by losing the first 3 games of the final.
Also, Game 4 and 5.
We're recording this tonight. We're recording this on Saturday, June 5th. Game 4 is tonight. If the Oilers lose, they lose the Cup final and the playoffs are over. If they win, it goes to Game 5 on Tuesday. Game 6 would be set. It would be unprecedented, honestly, if they won it and took it to Game 6. I
want to be inconvenienced here. I do want you to be happy.
I do too. Or we'll lose in Game 6 and I'll be devastated.
That's true too. Yeah.
Why did we bother coming back just to make my life hell in 2 ways?
Welcome to Vancouver, 2010.
Lose the Cup on home ice and then also have to wait hours to watch the Doctor Who finale. So. But just jumping ahead a little bit, we'll say this at the end of the episode again, but next week's live stream will be later than usual because Warren's got a thing. There's a potential of a Game 6 that I wouldn't be even watching Doctor Who for quite some time. And also, we're waiting for the broadcast of Empire of Death on BBC One because that's the BBC will probably announce stuff after it and like for the in relation to the next Christmas special, which we know is called Joy to the World already because Stephen Moffat has already said so. But and there'll be probably other stuff happening. So our live stream review will be happening at like 1 a.m. in the UK time, essentially on the Sunday and at 5 p.m. Pacific. So, I mean, nobody else goes anywhere on Saturday nights, right? We're Doctor Who fans, so you can stick around and watch.
Plus, everybody will have been up on Friday night because they're at the cinema to watch Empire of Death. So they're not going to fall asleep that soon on the Saturday night.
Exactly. But as pointed out in our chat, it's 1 p.m. for New Zealand. So there you go. There's our
also, I'd like to point out in our chat, Kat, friend of the show and wife of Chris, just said that Adric lives on in our hearts and dinosaur dig sites, and I thought that was very funny. So I thought I would highlight it
in relation to her throwing out the theory that Mrs. Flood is Adric. Yes.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's why.
Please stop, fans, including Kat. I'm calling you out, Kat, after praising your funny line.
You're right to do so.
Yeah.
Right
one more reminder before we move on to the rest of the news. Happy Magna Carta Day for everyone involved.
It's making me laugh.
Also a reminder that Tales of the TARDIS, of course, June 20th was at 8 p.m. in the UK on Thursday, June 20th. As of this very moment, 11:24 a.m. Mountain Time. We don't have any details.
It's gotta be Pyramids of Mars.
It's gotta be Pyramids. It's
RTD doesn't
16.
bring in SUTEKH and not go, hey kids, now you have an explanation for this.
Yeah, it feels like it's.
I have asked at least one person I know who has worked on it,
right,
for more information, and dag nabbit, they're adhering to their NDA.
That's called an NDA. That's called continuing to work, is what that is.
They prefer not to have their ass sued by.
Yeah, well, I could tell my friend something with no benefit to me whatsoever, or I could continue to work in this industry.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I have, for what it's worth, I have seen the interstitials for all the other Tales of the TARDIS popping up on YouTube. So that is odd that this is a thing that like is only supposedly available for license fee payers and people in the UK.
And because Americans, theoretically, a lot of them have seen Classic Who as well, but not all of them. So why completely cut them off, right?
I feel like this would benefit new Disney Plus people more than
who aren't all Brits. So
who am I to judge?
But then who knows what the licensing stuff is for Tales of Mars and for that old stuff? Like maybe you can't show Pyramids of Mars on YouTube or whatever, right? The whole idea is to have this bridging stuff. And if it's just Shooty and Millie talking about this, well, that doesn't make any sense either. So
that's true.
But I'm still also curious why this is on BBC Four and the rest were not on broadcast TV.
Yeah, I
Even,
imagine it'll
even
show
if it's only digital, but I don't know why.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll show up on iPlayer after it goes out on
Well,
BBC
once again, people in
course
charge
it
of
will.
things.
Of course
don't
it
know
will.
what
I mean,
they're doing.
like, it will only show up on iPlayer until after it, like, or will it drop on iPlayer and we just know about it now because it's going to be like, will it drop on midnight on iPlayer on June 20th?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I assume it'll show up on iPlayer at 8 p.m. whatever on the Thursday UK time.
Yeah, keep watching the
EST.
skis for that.
But also, TV people don't know what they're doing most of the time. So
Ding, ding, ding.
Global just fired a bunch of journalists this week. So
That's true. Yeah, the TV industry in Canada is pretty
A
bad.
joke.
But
joke.
yeah, a joke. But as I said to Warren earlier, because both of us have been laid off, some of us several times by the Canadian television industry in the past. Thinking, were we turfed or were we saved? I think we were.
somehow I
probably
still have a
saved.
13-year print job. So,
Yeah.
which isn't technically print anymore, but still, it's more or less the same thing.
True. Some other news I want to point out. So I pre-ordered this on the BBC shop months ago in October, and it never even shipped. I emailed about it, no reference whatsoever it to be. So I ordered it on Amazon. It showed up the next day. I finally got season 20.
Your
Season
timeline
20,
has been suspended from the
Peter
BBC
Davis
shop.
season 2. Yeah, it's like bad news. That's the only thing I ordered from it, and I'm sticking with that. And I'll just ask for a refund if and ever they get back to me. Another thing that's in the zeitgeist right now because it came out roughly the same time is the Celestial Toymaker Blu-ray. I stopped.
I'm waiting for both of those still from the BBC shop.
I'm waiting for my Tom Baker one from BBC shop, and I doubt it's ever going to show up.
Oh,
Well, that comes out next month. So
Sure, it does.
That one's,
we'll
that
see.
one's
I believe that, like I
still
believe
ways away.
RTD's lies.
I got to tell you, I immediately stopped what I was doing and popped this in, expecting just to watch the first 5 minutes and then get back to. I watched the whole story. I liked it. I liked the weird animation. I think it works for the Celestial Toymaker. You know what? I mean, it's like 3D, animation. Steven looks a little weird and stuff, and it's also a weird story where no telesnaps exist. Only,
And it's in a different realm, so you can kind of just write it off in your head
exactly.
like that, right?
But
So-
you know what? I mean,
That's
we've
fair,
all sort of
yeah.
been like thinking, oh, why aren't they like the previous animated DVDs? And you look at back and they go, the first one of those was made in 2007, The Invasion. And it was made cheaply because they didn't have much money and they only had 2 episodes to,
That's not bad.
to animate. And it's not bad. But you know what? It looks very 2007. And there's no reason why we should keep making animated versions of missing episodes to look like something that came out almost 20 years ago now, you know?
On top of anything else, Abominable Snowman, Toymaker, whatever.
It still looks that way, you know?
There's been no consistency in the style.
I'm
But
fine. with
apart
that.
from
I'll
it
try
being-
different things. That's
Yeah,
cool.
apart from being 2D or 2.5D
Yeah.
or something like
But
that.
I mean,
you
there's
know?
like, which, was it? Abominable Snowman? Which one? Or no, Underwater Menace, where they may as well have had the long arms from Wild Blue Yonder. Like
Fury
just-
from the Deep you're talking about.
Is it Fury? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
One of the Trouton ones I knew. So I mean, there's nothing. If you had every animated story consistent in its presentation and style, people are still going to bitch.
Yep.
If you have
People are always
a
gonna
different, if you have a different from one release to the next, people are still going to bitch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hey, Levine.
Yeah. God.
This isn't
So-
like my AI version. No, it
Yeah.
isn't, Ian. No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. Yeah. Do you have any closing thought there, Chris? Or no? Okay.
No,
Anyway,
just take it, enjoy it. We have the soundtracks. That's the
Yeah.
most important thing.
yeah.
As long as it
Thanks-
fits
thanks-
the story, that's all I
Thanks,
care
thanks
about.
Yeah.
to Graham Strong and others.
Yeah. Like,
I mean that we have these things
mhm.
that no other fandom has.
I
Yeah,
know.
That's
Just-
a good point. Yeah.
Plop down your $20,
Yeah.
take it, watch it, enjoy it, move on to the next one.
And like
with-
I
Sorry,
know.
go
I'm just going to point out on this and every version of it. And there's production notes again on this, which was not there on Underwater Menace, I don't think, or was it Fear or Highlanders? Or one of them anyway. Not Highlanders. Abominable Snowman. So that's great. But also, as with everyone, there is a color animated version. There's a black and white animated version.
I'm happy they do that.
And I haven't watched this yet, but I'm curious to see what it looks like because there are no telesnaps, but there is like a telesnap photo reconstruction as well. So
cool.
all 3 on the same thing. You can watch them all. And there's also there's a Doctor Who escape room featurette on here that's about an hour. They have several teams of people trying to get through a Doctor Who escape room. I watched the first 5 minutes of that and thought, okay, I'll watch that later. So that's intriguing to me that I want to watch. But yeah, the animation, I'm on board with it.
These things are made absolutely out of love. People make them. People are not getting paid that much compared to what they could be for what their talents are to make these things because they love Doctor Who. Like I don't know if Rob Ritchie worked on this one in particular, but that guy moves heaven and earth to do this stuff, right? Right. In general, the guy makes Matt Berry as the Doctor, which I still watch because it's hilarious, just for the hell of it, just because it's funny. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And also, I was gonna say like something like the faceless ones. I think it's the faceless ones I'm thinking of, where the animation is very crisp and sort of regimented. That works for that story. Like it's just as long as it fits the story. And something like this, I haven't seen it, but I know what the animation looks like. Mm-hmm. It seems like the weird dreamlike thing about the Celestial Tonemaker, this would fit. So as long as it fits, that's all that matters.
Exactly, Warren. Exactly.
Yeah, damn it.
I see that on the BBC Shop Canada. Season 20 is no longer showing as pre-order. Celestial Toymaker is also no longer showing as pre-order.
Okay.
Canceled.
But I still have no shipping notifications for either.
No. Well,
I still haven't heard boo from the big box set from last year. I know you canceled yours, Stephen.
I said,
mine is not yet canceled. And
the one that people got. It was a disaster.
You should just get your refund because it's not going to happen. It's over. The dream is done. You would have better luck ordering Marco Polo off the BBC shop and getting that sent to you.
What if it showed up? Wouldn't that be a surprise?
That would be hilarious. Wow, we have it right here. There's like all 7 episodes just sitting there the whole time.
And it's animated as Chinese watercolors.
Speaking of missing episodes, this is in the show notes, but I saw this on Twitter. Somebody had emailed the BBC on iPlayer saying, for some reason, season 5, episode 8 of Doctor Who Confidential is not available in HD. Can you put up the HD version? And the reply they got was, we don't have the original HD master for Doctor Who Confidential in 2010. And so we only have the SD.
8.
They have lost.
Missing, believed, wiped.
There's a missing episode
of Hungry Earth, right?
There's a missing episode of Doctor Who Confidential from 2010.
Okay, missing episode detectives. You got a new assignment.
Fascinating. Chris is going to check his personal archives to see have the MKV files.
Yeah, this is actually a lot simpler to solve than
I know, right? Like get an off-air copy of it.
Somebody's got a hard drive full of this crap.
Yeah,
might be Chris.
I'd probably have an off-air MPEG 2.
Yeah, well,
it wouldn't be HD.
No, well,
HD.
Yeah, look at that HD
Just,
missing episodes.
Somebody does. Madness. Guarantee you, somebody does.
Madness.
Maybe. Well, maybe I would have it in HD. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
Because by then,
Search Usenet. I'm sure Usenet probably has been on this.
It just reminds me of how they lost, what was it, one of the Lord of the Rings movies, and they carried it on their iPod because that was the only backup they had? Or am I thinking of a Pixar movie?
You're thinking of Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2. Somebody had it on their iPod because that was the only place they backed it up to. And they lost the original files.
Yeah.
Man.
And that person was recently fired from Pixar.
Way to go. Way to go, Disney.
Sorry,
See?
laid off.
Laid off.
Yes.
Furlough.
We wish them the best in their future endeavors. Whenever you see that in the email, you're like, oh, dear.
Bad news. Some other news stuff that's coming out. A whole bunch of stuff coming out. There's a new Doctor Who magazine special edition called Print the Legend. It's all about Target books, Target novelizations, all about that sort of stuff, which is kind of cool with some images of Target books over the years. So that is available now, including a big thing from about Dave Whitaker, unsurprisingly written by Simon Guerrier, who's become
who looks very Lost Doctor-ish in that photo.
A little bit, yeah. So that's that is out now from Doctor Who magazine. Links in the show notes if you want to order that because it's outside of the normal Doctor Who subscription. I could tell that Chris is just searching through his personal archives looking for for his HG copy. Okay.
I was going to say, that's a big personal archive.
I'm logging into the BBC shop to see if there's anything on.
Oh, okay. Well, you do that. I'll rattle some stuff. There's 4 new Doctor Who Target novelizations coming this year, that being Church and Ruby Road, which has basically just been repurposed as a Target novelization. It came out last year, of course. But Space Babies, 73 Yards, and Rogue, those 3 will be novelized.
I like that these look different, like that they've kind of updated them, because it was cool to see the old style, but it's nice that they're going with something new here.
I agree. Yeah. You can't sort of bank on that same, because eventually they'll start to look.
And they're just catering to old jerks like us and cater to new jerks who like this.
Very true.
And also, it has the totem. It's got the Target logo. It's got the it all has all the stuff's there. It's just spruced up.
Exactly.
And presumably consistently so, because the earlier releases of New Who as Target books didn't always have the Target logo.
Shameless.
Mind you, probably in the 70s and 80s, that was probably the case too as well.
But it needs to happen now.
Things were a little more slapdash.
Yeah, a little bit lashed up. 3 books coming from Penguin Books. That being the official guide is coming on August 15th with its the official guide of Doctor Who. Everything you need to know about the Whoniverse.
Well, usually these come out and something new comes out that completely outdates them, right? Like around that same time. So I look forward to that happening, whatever that might be.
Yeah, there's a whole host of different Doctors Who on the cover, including Joe Martin's on there and all that. And of course, Sheeta got was in the front, wearing the costume he wore that one time.
And does in the time window, which is kind of, obviously he was going to, but it was kind of cool to see him in 2 different costumes.
I kind of missed that costume. It was a pretty cool outfit. Also, Doctor Who, the official annual, which doesn't have a cover yet. That's coming out September 5th. And then 15 Doctors, 15 Stories, which includes a brand new 15th Doctor story, is coming out on September 19th. All 3 from Penguin Books. So... also, I think we mentioned the Paradise Towers thing. Wasn't it a Kickstarter or something? I think it might have been a Kickstarter.
And the Lytton one as well back in the day.
The Lytton one back in the day, certainly. But the Paradise Towers, Paradise Found comic is coming out, a graphic novel rather, coming out October 30th. So that's pretty cool. Cool cover art with someone doing some wall scrawl looking like the eyes of Croagnon at the end of Paradise Towers, Warren's favorite Sylvester McCoy
Love it so
story.
Much.
Remember when we thought last week that the Tales of the TARDIS is going to be Doctor Who and Mel reminiscing about Delta and the Bannerman? Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
God, it wasn't. Much as I love Mel.
Yeah. Same day, Chris mentioned it, Lytton, Volume 1 graphic novel. Yeah, Lytton. I think that's by Eric Sayward, of all people, wrote this, the comic book. Really, the story he really wanted to write for Doctor Who, but that character of Doctor Who kept getting in the way.
Lytton rules. Like, he may be in a couple episodes people don't like that much, but damn, he's cool.
He's pretty great. Lytton's great. Morris Colburn died way
also, people are wrong.
too young. Yeah.
Those are both great stories. Alice's great in Gangsters.
Gangsters. That needs to be on iPlayer. Damn it. Why is that on an iPlayer?
Where's the Gangiverse? iPlayer. Come on. Of 2 seasons or whatever. Where's the Sandbagaverse, even though it's not BBC?
Right.
Which I found on my mum watched back in the old days. I'm going to, by the way, England fans, when I'm in England, I am going to the McDonald's because it still exists.
We found it.
If I can time it out right, I'll do it at 10:20 in the morning because that's when he and Jeff Ross would meet up. I asked my sister because she doesn't care about this stuff, and she's like, of course we're doing that. And I asked my mum, and she's like, I used to watch that. You totally have to do that.
CBC. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember it. I remember the opening title sequence, but never watched the actual show. But yeah.
So I have family support for this important matter of going to the McDonald's near Victoria Station. 155
Victoria Street, if my memory of my numbers.
I really hope there's a blue plaque there that is unofficial that commemorates this very important location in the Sandbaggers lore.
Yeah.
Check Google Maps.
Check Google Maps.
I guess
we found it.
No, I'm just gonna go there and find out for myself one way or another. And I'm damn well gonna have a burger, and even though I'm diabetic, I'm still gonna have a burger and fries there. I have to. What was Neil Burnside's order? I've got to have it.
He's got a Coke, obviously, but yeah.
It might be a diet, but whatever.
And you probably asked, you still have those little McDonald's ashtrays? Can I have one of those, please?
Could you have spruce it? I hope that seat is specifically still 1970s. Everything else is modernized, and this one's like a historical resource.
Still like styrofoam wrappers for the Happy Meals and everything. Yeah.
I may possibly be wish casting all this.
A little bit, but I expect pictures, Warren. I expect pictures.
Oh, you'll get them. You'll get them.
All right, so a couple big Finish stuff before we get the hell out of here and let people get on with their days. Conspiracy of Raven, the second Doctor audio is coming out in July of 2024. The title, the graphic looks like cartoon. Why is
No, but it's cool because it's the older versions of the two companions.
It is,
but not the Doctor, which is interesting.
What is happening there? Listen and find out. Conspiracy of Raven coming in July and August. Speaking of Susan. Not that's the one. I wanted this one. Susan's War comes out. Family Ties with Carol Ann Ford playing Susan. Jonathan Carley as the young war doctor. Sonny McGann as well in the Worlds of Doctor Who's Family Ties. So, yep.
Relation to Paul McGann?
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yep,
How does this tie in? Doesn't it all?
To next week's episode?
To Empire of Death. I'm pretty sure it
Empire of
doesn't.
Death. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But when it does, as we said earlier on in the episode...
Sonny McGann used to be credited as Jake McGann.
Oh, okay.
Apparently.
Well, he's changed the name. Our live stream, Empire of Death, the finale for season 1 of Doctor Who, will be on, of course, on the 21st or 22nd, depending on where you are in the world. But our live review will be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. in the UK time, 1 p.m. apparently in New Zealand. On June 23rd. So join us for that. But we'll be on all the podcast feeds and everywhere else for that as well. So do listen in, do tune in for the big finale of Doctor Who, first season on Disney Plus. So, all right. Until next time, everyone. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Or in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.